Coming up on Mountain News this morning, as many restaurants plan to reopen to in-person dining next week, a handful of them will look a little different. And we talked with people working in retail to learn about how your shopping experience will change when stores reopen.
Dedicated to Eastern and Southern Kentucky, this is WYMT Mountain News this morning.
Good morning. It is 5 o'clock on this Friday, May the 15th. I'm Will Puckett. Thank you for tuning in to Mountain News this morning. Well, usually when we're back in the studio, I can intro Brandon by saying on the drive-in it was foggy, or on the drive-in it was rainy or clear. I don't have that luxury anymore, but I looked outside my window this morning and I'll tell you what, it's pretty foggy. Let's bring Brandon in, get a better breakdown of what to expect on this last day of the week. Brandon, good morning.
Good morning, Will. I'm glad you told me that because my sensors aren't showing any fog this morning and our camera's not showing a whole lot either. So that's good news to have, good information to have. But it is a mild morning for sure across a big chunk of the area. Let's take a look at some of those temperatures. It is 70 in Irvin this morning. Yes, 70 degrees already. I don't think it ever dropped too much there. 65, Jackson, Hazard, and Pikeville, 61 in Wise. But here at the sensor at the house, it's 51. So some of those sheltered valleys could be a touch cooler. 55 out toward London, 59 in Harlan, 50 in Jonesville this morning. The wind, that's the key today. It's pushing that southwest wind up there, which is warmer air. It's going to continue to do that trend throughout the daytime hours today. Out the door forecast, not a whole lot to talk about. Some scattered chances for rain, kind of similar to yesterday, and temperatures pretty similar too. They're topping out in the low 80s. We'll talk about the weekend forecast coming up here in a little bit. Will?
All righty, Brandon, a lot of people are going to want to listen to that weekend forecast for sure. Well, Governor Andy Beshear announced 199 new cases of COVID-19 in the Commonwealth last night and 2 additional deaths. So far, 7,225 Kentuckians have tested positive for the coronavirus. The death toll is now at 328. 2,712 people have recovered from the virus. Meanwhile, more than 121,000 tests have been administered. Well, Governor Beshear has moved up the date for people to gather in small groups again. Groups with 10 people or fewer can be together starting May 22nd. That's up a few days from the governor's original plan. And the governor's revised travel ban will expire on the same day. That is just in time for the Memorial Day weekend. But even as people get together, the governor is still urging people to take the proper precautions. Meanwhile, as many restaurants plan to reopen to in-person dining on May 22nd, a handful of places will look a little bit different as they've taken this time to renovate. For Big Blue Smokehouse here in Hazard, there will be new tables, seating, and even a new drink menu. Owners say they're also working on bringing a patio with the ability to seat 40 to 50 people, since in-person dining is limited to 33% capacity. During the last couple of months, they say the business has taken a pretty big hit, in part due to the lack of catering needs.
We were doing a really good business, and it's pretty well crippled our business, other than what few takeouts we get a day. I mean, but we probably lost 75% of our revenue.
Once they reopen, they say they will take all the necessary steps to keep sanitized and clean. They are hoping the patio seating will make up for the lack of inside seating. Well, next Wednesday, May 20th, the retail stores will be able to reopen under some strict new guidelines. Like restaurants, they can only operate at 33% capacity. They are also encouraged to modify internal traffic and create a waiting system for people outside. Employees also need to maintain at least 6 feet of distance. But where distance is not possible, cash registers will likely have clear glass barriers. And of course, practice proper hygiene.
We have been bringing people back very slowly. We're just trying to make sure that people are safe. So we're training our associates on each step of keeping the public safe. Mask, hand washing, keeping people the right feet apart. As you can see what my mask says, 6 feet apart.
Each business has been instructed to post the new guidelines outside of their store. Well, we are getting a better look at different plans the University of Kentucky is considering for its fall semester and coronavirus concerns. One option would be to delay the start of classes until after Labor Day. Another plan proposes a normal start but an early end to the semester. A hybrid semester would start in August and in-person instruction would end with Thanksgiving break. The last is an option to remain completely online. The University of Kentucky is looking for feedback on each plan. It expects to have a final decision by June. Well, voters in Kentucky will soon be able to request an absentee ballot. The head of the Kentucky Board of Elections says the state will launch a website next Friday for registered voters. Voters can either return the completed ballot by mail or drop it off in person at their county clerk's office. At least one precinct will still be open in each county for in-person voting on June 23rd. Now, more than 15% of West Virginia's registered voters requested ballots for their June 9th primary election. The Secretary of State there said nearly 215,000 absentee ballots were requested. Nearly 87,000 of those ballots, or 7.1% of registered voters, were returned to county clerks. All registered voters are permitted to use an absentee mail-in ballot under the other medical reason excuse due to the coronavirus. In-person voting runs from May 27th through June 6th. The last day to register to vote in the West Virginia's primary is May 19th. It has been more than 2 months since some Kentuckians received a paycheck or any new money. Last week, more than 69,000 additional unemployment claims were filed. But for some who filed all the way back in mid-March, they say they have yet to receive any money. Yesterday, WYMT's Phil Pendleton talked with one Corbin man who was laid off and says despite doing everything right, he feels like he's doing it all wrong. We'll hear more of his story in our 6 o'clock hour right here on Mountain News This Morning. Applications will open this morning for people to get money from the Team Kentucky Fund. So far, it has raised $3 million. That money will go towards anyone who has been financially impacted by COVID-19. Lieutenant Governor Jacqueline Coleman says vouchers will be given out to help people catch up on bills or necessities. Well, thank you for getting your day started with us right here on Mountain News This Morning. Coming up, as people stay home during this pandemic, many worry, are domestic violence cases increasing? The folks at the Rising Center in Hazard say yes.
It might be mid-May, but the forecast is going to feel more like summertime this weekend. I'll track it out for you in about 3 minutes.